Ogres have long symbolized the fear of the monstrous and the threat of the outsider. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button as we dive into these monstrous creatures. The earliest attestation of ogres can be found in Grecian de Troyes, late 12th century verse romance Percival, the Comtesse de Graal. In this rhyme, it's believed that the ogres were the inhabitants of Britain prior to human settlement. Ogres are often described as hideous giants that eat humans. It's believed that the name comes from French or Italian etymology and seems to relate to orgo or orco, which means demon. This is also a relation to the Roman god Orcus, who was god of the underworld and would punish souls after death. This connection to the underworld gives ogre an association with death and darkness. Ogre mythology stretches far beyond France, and giant-like creatures with a taste for human flesh appear in legends from ancient Greece, Norse mythology, and European folklore. These early versions are more giants or trolls. They have large creatures that live in remote places like mountains, forests, and caves and tend to terrorize nearby villages. In Greek mythology, you have the Cyclops, which is a very large giant with a single eye. The most famous Cyclops is probably Polyphemus from Homer's The Odyssey. Polyphemus is brutal. He eats humans and is isolated from society. He lives in a cave and preys on travelers. Polyphemus's brutal nature, combined with his strength, mirrors later depictions of ogres in European folklore. In Norse mythology, the giants are ogre-like and are depicted as dangerous, large creatures who often oppose the gods and wreak havoc on the world. Like ogres, these giants are crude, gluttonous, and destructive, living in remote, dangerous places. During these early traditions, ogres started to become mentioned, a large, monstrous creature isolated from society, and who posed a direct threat to humans, especially children. Ogres would become a staple in European folklore during the medieval and Renaissance period. These child-eating monsters were put in fairy tales and were often depicted as large, grotesque humanoid beings with an insatiable hunger. One of the most famous ogres in folklore is Bluebeard. Although Bluebeard is not exactly called an ogre, he has ogre-like tendencies and is monstrous for how he likes to murder his wives. This led to Bluebeard being associated with ogres in later adaptations. Another famous ogre is in Jack and the Beanstalk. The giant at the top of the beanstalk is large, lumbering, and obsessed with gold and devouring humans. Although his goal may just be to be left alone and protect his goal from humans, which might be why he eats them, the iconic line, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman," definitely points to him eating them. Ogres are associated with gluttony. They're said to have insatiable appetite for humans, especially children. In a lot of fairy tales, an ogre's main weakness is that they're not really smart. They're frequently outwitted by the protagonist, who often uses the creature's dim-wittedness against it. Other weaknesses include its appetite for humans or treasure, because it can't be filled. And this can lead them into traps or make them really easy to manipulate. On the flip side, their strength includes, well, their physical strength, their size, and their durability. Ogres are so much larger than humans, which makes it that much more difficult to defeat them in hand-to-hand combat. Their thick skin also provides additional armor. Ogres are also hunters, and they use their size and strength to capture their prey. And in many stories, their monstrous appearance alone terrified their enemies. They can be found not only in fairy tales, but also in medieval illuminated manuscripts and woodcuts. They would often be depicted as grotesque, muscular creatures with exaggerated features. and they continue to play a prominent role in literature, films, and games. Their depiction and role have changed over time, though. Sometimes you will get the monstrous creature who wants to destroy you, and other times you will get Shrek, a misunderstood outsider, which offers a more sympathetic idea that maybe they're just misunderstood for being different. It's interesting to think of the notion that maybe the creature acts the way that it does because it feels as if it will never be accepted. So why make friends with humans if humans are just going to reject them? And I do know that in Jack and the Beanstalk, it is referred to as a giant, but there's a parallel to ogres because of the way that it acts. So do you think that ogres are just simply misunderstood creatures? I mean, it's believed that giants were actually around before us, and that goes for a lot of fairy folk, that they were here before us. It is definitely an interesting notion. I mean, I believe in fairies, but I think that there is something that can be said about if something is scared of how it will be perceived, or is so convinced that they will not be accepted, they will not be liked, that they just instantly don't like the human race, or they act in what we would think a devilish way, an evil way. But maybe it's just all some big misunderstanding. I'd love to hear all your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know what mythological creature you would like me to dive into next. If you've had any paranormal encounters of your own, I would love to hear them. You can go ahead and email me at BrittanyBriereGhosts@gmail.com. In the meantime, make sure to like this video, make sure you're subscribed, and until my next one, I love you guys. Bye!